Of all the businesses that have won pitch competitions over the last 5 years, how many of those businesses have actually made it to market and are actually making money?
If you are ready to build a real business for scale and for the future, then absolutely this work needs to be done. Of course, I've gone through the journey, I've learned from my past experience, and I'm still learning, and I hope to learn more. But the honest point here is you really need to take the bull from the horn, try to solve the problem, try to identify the real customers and get your offers to the ground and validate the real numbers.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design. Over the last 5 years, the quantum of activities that have taken place in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Sierra Leone would have gone up like this, which is brilliant. It's generated a lot of interest. But the big question we want to ask is that of all the businesses that have won pitch competitions over the last 5 years, how many of those businesses have actually made it to market and are actually making money? It's a big question. That is part of what we're going to be looking at today in this show. If you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Joe Abass, Bangora, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built multiple businesses, at least 3 of them, taking them from scratch to top line revenues of between $500,000 to $1.5 million US. And the reason we have this platform is to share the experiences that I have had in this process building these businesses, so that you don't have to repeat the mistakes I made and put you in a stronger position to build the business you'd always be proud of. With everything we're doing, incubation hubs, acceleration hubs, innovation hubs, entrepreneurship hubs that we have in the country, big growth has taken place, but there are still gaps. And it's clear, even the funding partners, development partners, they know. Surveys have been conducted. The Startup Body Shop is running a survey as we speak with some partners that would look into adding the body of knowledge that is seeking to answer the question in terms of what the gaps are. So today, I have a young entrepreneur that we've been working with. A lot of you may have known him, but I want to just, brainstorm a little on gaps, practical gaps that we have and he's seen in his journey as an entrepreneur, and possibly how we can begin to answer this question, because he's also won pitch competitions, but he's struggling to get his business into the market and to make sure it makes money. And so therefore, Andrew, welcome to the JB podcast. Thank you so much, Mr. Joe. I do appreciate this opportunity. Andrew, you have been, how many pitch competitions have you attended in this country? How many?
I think for Sierra Leone's more than 10.
More than 10 pitch competitions.
Internationally, it's almost more than 50.
No, what does that mean?
More than 50 have pitched and participated in pitch competitions, more than 50 internationally.
So explain.
It simply means with all of these pitch competitions, I've only won few.
You won a few.
I won
how
few.
many have you won?
Of course, I've won over 5 or 6 now.
Okay.
Since I started my journey way back.
How many are local and how many are international?
Of course, for Sierra Leone, 2 of that.
So you win. You did win two Sierra Leone
in Sierra Leone, and internationally more than 4.
Internationally, you won more than 4.
Exactly.
More than 4 pitch competitions.
Exactly.
How much money did you make? All put together.
Of course, all put together is above $23,000 US.
$23,000 US. Well, for a small business, and somebody would have been thinking, okay, I've seen $1 million in the account, but anyway, life is a journey. We all have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
Now, what is your biggest frustration to date? So you own a business. What's the name of the business that you own?
Of course, we are Green Tech Bioenergy.
Green Tech Bioenergy.
Yes.
Okay. Green Tech Bioenergy. That's a business. How long have you been running this business?
In less than 3 years, we have been in operation.
Okay. 3 years. Less than 3 years. And what problem do you solve?
So of course, when we started initially, we have a couple of problems in our mind. In fact, I must be very honest with myself that when we started our journey, we already framed a problem and we went to the market to validate what we already have in our mind. But after keep moving on in the journey, we realized that we have been trying to solve a ghost problem that does not exist. And that is how we have to reinvent the journey again to go to.
What was that first problem? And listen to this, a very important point Andrew is making. One of the things that happen to people who are creative, they sleep, they wake, They think of a solution and they say, this would be a brilliant idea. And now they wake up, put that solution together, and now begin to go look for a problem that this solution solves. So from solution to problems, that's where we went to. But give us a bit. What were you doing actually in the beginning?
Just imagine that we started way back in 2022, and we had a technical knowledge. We believe with the technical knowledge we could be able to build a solution, and this was already in the mind. We already started prototyping. That was when we realized that we need to go and find solutions that fit into this. And the problem we start to identify, even as much as it was something we already had in mind and we want to see whether it's going to fit to that, and one of which is that we even faced the wrong market. We started with household.
What was that? Is this the same product you're talking about?
The same product.
Okay.
Of course, we faced household, and one of the assumptions we have in mind that could be a best fit to the solution we have is that household are struggling with firewood and charcoal. The struggle within that is that they are going through indoor air pollution, they are going through a very slow cooking time, and they need something that is very fast.
Let's talk about what the product is first of all. You say the product is
biogas digester.
Biogas digester, and to the uninitiated, what's a biogas digester?
A biogas digester, in common sense, is a product that we installed within your premises. This gives you the ability to collect your waste, applied into it to produce clean cooking gas right at your own speed.
From domestic waste? From
domestic waste. That purely has to do with organic. The food waste, banana peels, orange peels, anything so far you are aware of has the ability to decay. Okay, so that's the business idea. Exactly. And you say, and let's go back. What we've had at the Startup Body Shop, is something that is called the scaling blueprint. And the scaling blueprint looks at the constraints theory. The constraints theory says, in every business that you would see, organizations, institutions that desire to grow, at any point in time, there are a few things responsible, constraints holding back their growth. And sometimes one of them is the most acute that is holding them from growing. And if you could find out what that constraint is and fix that, maybe spend 90 days or whatever period of time is required, you dig down to solve that problem, what actually happens, you increase the chances to deconstrain the business, and you can get the business to grow. And so constraints theory, scaling blueprint, and we say we're asking 5 questions. The constraint is usually amongst one of these five questions. It's either we don't know who you are actually targeting. It's called ideal client profiles. Who are the clients? Who needs this? And Andrew will just begin to pinch this in terms of them targeting the wrong. Because if you're targeting the wrong market, forget it. It's the beginning of your frustrations. But what are you selling to them? It's not just the product. There are a couple of things that are involved in the offers. That's the second question, where you could have the next constraint. It could be hidden in the clarity of what you're offering vis-a-vis competition. If you're doing something that the competition is already providing, the competition is already doing, and and it's you against them. Why would somebody choose you and not them? What is unique about what you do? So it's your offer, clarity. The constraint could be in your offer. Or number 3, you have a good, you know who you're targeting, you have a good offer, but how they find you. People don't know you exist. They don't have a way to get to you and wherever you produce in your business. And this asks the marketing question. How do people know you exist? Number 4, the constraints could be here in your marketing. Or number 4, how you close. A system that's, that actually is a systematic process of once somebody says, I'm interested, through your marketing, you go through a systematic process of closing those sales, just through your sales pipeline, and you go. And the 5th question, when somebody says, well, I'm interested, they've already paid, how you deliver consistently, repeatedly, so make sure that the same quality is delivered all the time. So let's go back. Having looked at the constraint is usually hidden in one of these, and this is at the basic level for startups. So let's move there. So let's go again. Let's look at ICP. Who did you target originally? You said it was household. Originally, we started with household in 2022. We battled and went back and forth to ensure that these customers really appreciate and use our solution. not because we offer them something that gives them the reason to appreciate us. So we battled back and forth, and at the end of the day, we could not able to achieve that.
Why?
This was because when the market was wrong for the solution.
Why was the market wrong?
The market was wrong because the problem we are trying to solve with the solution, the customer does not really have it.
The customer. So, and you said because you are looking at targeting domestic household.
Exactly.
And this biogas, it's not cheaper with the digester itself. It's not cheaper. It's expensive.
Of course.
And so targeting household, there are not the people who would need this. You know, somebody tells us that there's something that's usually used in the context of business where they talk about solutions. Some solutions are painkillers. Some solutions are vitamins. If it's a painkiller, there's a market, because what you're talking, if you have a headache, you can't stop until you keep it quiet until you deal with it. So you go for Panadol. And so if your solution is a painkiller, you have a greater chance of it succeeding. But if your solution is a vitamin, who takes vitamin? How many people take vitamin? It's when people get sick that they will take vitamin.
They find it very difficult.
Yeah. So vitamins is really for so the pain that you would there for painkillers, it's not the same level of acute requirements that will be there for vitamins. So not for households.
Exactly.
You know, so you missed your ICP, your ideal client profile wasn't there. Then what did you do?
And in fact, we even continued to went on to another market. We started targeting livestock farmers, knowing fully well that livestock farmers are dealing with waste, and the biodigester need waste for it to be more effective to produce gas. So we have to go in for them.
Then what happened?
Later on, we now came to realize that they are not the ideal customers at this stage of
what was the problem with that?
So
could they pay?
The most common problem is that most of them have the finance to pay, but the key issue is that some of them are not having farmhouse within their localities where they are farming, and because of that reason they could not able to use the biodigester.
What did you do?
So we have to settle down with our team to really drill ourselves to really find who these customers is and what's the problem. We absolutely have to go to a point to trash the ideas we already built and start from scratch.
And sometimes it's painful.
And we already love the solution, so we thought that's something we have to push in. But it comes to a point that we have no reason, any option but to really trash it away and dig deeper to really understand who this customer really is.
And given the entrepreneurship process, how much belief you have to put into doing it, it's not an easy thing to look at an idea that you've woken up and believe this is what would work.
Exactly.
But then wake up one day and said, no, this would not work. How easy it is to do that? Of
course, it's quite a little bit difficult, because imagine the fact you have spent several hours, years building, sometimes even your own personal resources goes into the business, and at the end of the day, because you have passion and believe in what you're doing, and for you to wake up one morning and say, this is not working, it's really difficult.
Okay, but then you said it's not working. Okay, so what did you move on to now?
Of course, we have to drill ourselves to really take the boom from the horns for us to really realize whether this works or not. And at the end of the day, when we realize it's not working, and we know this,
you are now trying another client profile. What's that market? What's the market you're targeting?
We now delve into restaurants. And when we even delve into restaurants, we are just over the place.
It was general. You said every restaurant, but it's not every restaurant.
But we now came to realize that not even every restaurant will absolutely need our solution.
So what did you narrow down to?
So we narrowed down to institutional and commercial restaurants. And that is not just all. Within the institutional and commercial restaurant, we have a range of small to that of large scale.
Okay.
Small scale are not within our preferred customer.
So even the commercial restaurants, if they are small, they're not part of your segment.
There's always an issue with them.
Okay.
So we have to shift to that of medium to large scale institutional and commercial.
And I remember at some point in time, because we worked with you, you were thinking, you know, some of the businesses you were targeting do not have the money to pay.
They do
and you were thinking of arranging a financing.
Asset financing, of course.
Go to the bank and say, we have these businesses, this is what they do, they're making money. Can you give them a loan?
That was the intention.
What was wrong with that?
Of course, you are running after somebody who does not have the willing power and the financial ability to pay for something that he truly needs. So that was a huge
But do they
gap for
really?
us.
It's funny. It's funny. And we can push that. Do they really need it? And so, but again, that is how you kept refining who your ideal client, who the market. This is really about the market. Who are you targeting? Who are you really targeting?
Exactly.
Your ideal client's profile. You kept refining and refining.
Exactly.
And you now say institutional and commercial restaurants
that are ranging between the medium
to large. So that's who you said you're targeting.
Exactly.
And how long did it take you?
And of course, we have some boxes that we tick to even validate the fact that you are medium to large. We have some key.
What are some of the boxes?
One of the boxes is that if you are claiming that you're a medium scale restaurant, you must be making about $5,000.
Is it monthly?
We are talking of monthly.
Okay, $5,000.
$5,000. Or you are spending $5,000 equivalent around that range to spend on cooking energy.
So that's what would qualify you.
These are some key metrics that we have been able to identify that are huge and potential for us to be able to approve you that you are within the range of medium to large scale.
Now, that's brilliant. And then so again, where are you at this stage? Are you absolutely certain that this is the market you should be going for?
Institutional and commercial restaurant, to be certain, it simply means we have to go again to validate to be sure of this.
So it's a never-ending process.
Absolutely.
It's a never-ending process. Okay. So now, the journey goes, but let's look at your offer. Let's look at your offer. Again, it's not just about the market, but it's really what. If you look at your marketing material, and we look at the slide deck, you have a pitch deck. That pitch deck has seen days. It has been through things. 23,000. It's actually $123,000, but it's seen through tons of iterations.
Exactly.
Tons of iterations as you learn your
I can't remember how many times I've changed the pattern of my pitch deck, but I just know that it has gone through a lot of journey.
It's a journey. It's a journey. But when you look at your offer, the question, and that's the question I still ask you, because when you look at your offer makes claims of what is delivered that you have to test. And for the entrepreneur, the journey that we're at, you can never be sold on your business idea without testing. In a recent episode we talked about you build with the public, you build with the customers in mind, you build with them together. So you build, you give them, you test, you get the feedback, you amend the product, you give it back to them. So you can never build in secret. You can never build in secret. You have to be building with the customers, the target customer that you want to release. And it's very interesting because the other day I was watching the news about Anthropic releasing Fable. They released 2 of their models, recent AI models that they released. They had maybe 20-25 government offices, big corporate institutions that they trialed. I can't remember how much stage they had gotten to, but they trialed. They designed this and said, test, give us your feedback. What do you think? They gave them their feedback. They went back to the drawing board. So they always have these things. You have to build, you have to test, you have to build, test as you build, test as you build. That's the way it goes. But so let's go back. One of the things we've been pushing back with you, your business, this biogas, bioenergy systems, your digester, you're making specific claims. What are those claims that you're making?
Mr. Joe, even before we delve deeper into even the claims that we are making around the biodigester, it may surprise to let you know that even when we started, because we are running after the wrong market, we have been validating the wrong matrices. That's one part of it. And
so it's the metrics. Yes,
that's one of the danger to really run after the wrong market. Another thing, because I'm a technical person, I go from a technical background, an engineer, and one of the things I believe has to do with offer is the technology itself. Anytime I speak to you, you know that I'm an engineer.
Because you're fascinated about the technology.
I will tell you about the technical part of our solution. This biodigester can help you turn your waste. And this biodigester is so easy to operate.
Yes.
But I will never tell you what you can gain from it at the end of the day. This becomes more clear a few years ago.
Versus benefits. So it's the technology versus what the benefits is. Now, when you talk about metrics, what is it you are measuring originally that had to change?
Originally, we have just been measuring whether this biodigester is turning your waste into cooking gas without nothing quantified at the end of the day.
So it was just qualitative. What you had was qualitative.
Is
nothing
this working for you? Yes, it's turning waste. Okay, it's producing cooking gas, but nothing around quantitative.
So the numbers, you have to now quantify.
Yes.
Now, so and you've said you have some quantification.
Yes.
Let's hear those quantifications that you have at the moment.
All right. Assuming you are a restaurant and you are using 54 kg LPG cylinder every month, and over the course of 9 months, I will give you a typical example. A restaurant that we spoke to is using is spending 7,500 every month on LPG gas using the 54 kg. In the course of in the course of 1 year, that is 12 months, this restaurant is eventually spending at around 90,000 every year, which simply means for them to shift from these long-term expenses, we have to replace that 54 kg with 100,000 liter of biodigester. This simply means if you can have this solution, when you're having our 100,000 liter biodigester, we will help you to reduce on that yearly 90,000 you used to spend.
By how much?
To that of 50%.
Can you say you can reduce?
Yes, that is one of the claims we are making.
That's a claim.
That if you have our biodigester, instead of spending 90,000, you are eventually spending half of that.
That's what I'm saying. And the question I'm always asking and keep pushing again: have you validated that?
That's the point.
You've not yet.
Some of the claims we have been able to make, we started tracking that. Along the line, we shifted and started looking on the wrong things at the end of the day. But all said and done, we have come to realize that there is no way we can make a claim without validating that. And that's some things we have been a little bit struggling with over the past while. And I believe there is still more.
So there's a claim for cost reduction that you have to validate.
Exactly.
What else? What other claims are you making?
Another claims we have been able to make so far, of course, for restaurants that are using firewood, because we have some categories of restaurants
that use firewood,
that are highly dependent on firewood and charcoal. Of course, it's very rare that when you're using firewood, it's very slow. It takes a lot of time to prepare multiple dishes in a very short minimal time. And when you have our biodigester, because the biogas, the flame that comes from this biogas is very hot to a point it cooks food 2 times faster compared to that of you using firewood. So 2 times faster, it simply means a restaurant that has been typically spending 3 hours supposed to be spending 1.5 hours using our biodigester. That's half cut the time.
That's a claim.
That's a very huge claim.
That's a claim you're making. All right, give me the third claim, then we can turn to validation.
Another claim we're making, because the biogas, it's very hot, it cooks faster 2 times as compared to that of firewood. It simply means efficiency in cooking increases. And that simply means...
What percentage of
by
efficiency?
80%.
It says efficiency...
By 80%.
80%.
Exactly.
How do you measure efficiency?
Okay, in terms of efficiency, if you have been spending 3 hours cooking, you can now spend 1.5 hours cooking. It's simply for the same amount of quantity food you have been preparing over the past while. It simply means the efficiency of the gas is more higher as compared to that of firewood.
Now, again, it's so important. Again, what we're talking about now is what would get every business, everybody making any pitch all over around the country, whatever you're pitching now. These are the kind of questions you have to be asking yourself. It's not just about the claims. Can you validate the claims? It's about the market. Are you targeting the right market? And your offer, what are you offering? This offer comes with this. All of these claims that we're making, they actually come with the offer. This is what I'm offering if you use our product. But all of these have to be validated. You say cost reduction. Okay. How many clients, how many customers did you try this on? And have you done your own internal? Let me ask you a question now. How many internal implementations that you have done?
We have installed over 51,000 to be deployed in over 3 restaurants and 1 household.
How many units are that?
Okay, a total of 51,000 liters of biodigester.
51,000 liters, but how many units of bio?
That's 4 units. 4
units and 51,000 liters of biodigesters. Yes. That's what you have deployed.
Yes.
Have you validated this cost reduction?
Of course, in terms of cost reduction, we have been able to achieve that with Takuguama. Of course, 2 months ago, we had an opportunity where a journalist from TRT World Africa came to did a few video record so that they could be able to speak around the Middle East challenge that's been coming, especially with the high inflation, of course, on LPG gas due to the Middle East war.
Yeah, amazing.
So they came to able to realize what are some of the benefits our solution is offering to help institutions instead of depending on what is happening and it's affecting them so badly. So one of the things we have been able to validate so far within that line, in the past few months before we met Tachograma Sanctuary, they have been using 12 kilograms of LPG gas. And this 12 kg of LPG gas, if memory can serve me right, is around 540 to 560 leons every month. And we have been able to cut down that particular number. Instead of them spending that, they are not spending that money any longer because the biogas is giving them clean energy from their own waste.
You have to be able to measure. You have to quantify. It's entrepreneurship by numbers. We've not been talking about the numbers enough, but that's the next level that gets us to the level where we can get products into market and products that make money. You have to validate 2 times faster. And I was, a couple of things I was sharing with you. How do you validate the speed in terms of 2 times faster?
In terms of 2 times faster, of course, we have to go through the hard way, because I'm very sure sometimes you can just sit on the back and just look at what somebody have already done, third-party research. Of course, that has been one of my habits in several years ago, because I want to go for a pitch competition. I know this is very important. I have to go look for a third-party data that can able to support my claims. But that was not real. I was not being real with myself, because when I meet the customers, there must be somebody who should be able to speak on their behalf. So how we have been able to validate the fact that our biogas is cooking 2 times faster as compared to firewood was to ensure we have somebody cooking with our biogas. Not ourselves, but the customer.
Somebody cooking with biogas, same circumstance, and somebody cooking
with firewood. Then you can now evaluate the time you spend if you are cooking.
And it's an experiment.
Exactly. It's a hard work that needs to be done. It has to be an
experiment. It has to be exact validation. An experiment that you carry not just once, not just with one person, but 4, 5, 6, 7. Put cameras. The reason why you have Guinness Book of World Record people come in when you're doing stuff is to validate that, to say yes, I can spend 24 hours cooking 16 sauce and all of those kind of things. It has to be validated. You have to have witnesses. You have to document. And one of the things I've been sharing with you is you describe the test you want to carry even before.
Exactly.
You describe it in details. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. This is how we're going to measure. And these are the kind of things, these are the people you will want to bring along, because you want the testimonials from those people, scientists, people who are, universities, who could look at this and said, yes, this test, you could prove this with this test.
Exactly.
And they can be there and witness and support.
And in fact,
and of course, the customers. That
was a missing point for us when we started earlier. We never had anything that has to do with what do we want to validate. our own success goal was to ensure that we have a biodigester installed for you and you're producing gas from it. And we can go to any pitch deck and tell anybody that our biodigester is working. What is working is not the biodigester itself. Is this key validation?
The benefits that they get, of course, reduction of the speed.
And we could not able to track that. We could not be able to be bold enough to speak around that, because we are validating the technology and not the offers the customers are getting.
How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10 of these 3 claims that you're making? Because as far as I'm saying, I'm pushing you.
I'm still 1/5
to validate this.
Exactly.
So you're only 20%. He's only 20%. Listen to this. He's only 20% sure of these claims. And we've worked with him. We had some stuff from the UNDP, United Nations, UNDP. Some innovation programs that we want to support. With AfriCell and other partners that were there. And I say to you, I'm saying this again now to you, knowing what I know now, the entire 9 months that had been spent working with you then, that entire 9 months would have been spent
achieving this.
2 things you'd have just done is to zero in on your market. Who's your real market? Run the tests, the surveys that would prove who the market was, and also validating these claims. Because these are the 2 fundamentals on which your entire business premise hangs on. If this prove false, the business is false.
That's true.
These are the two premises.
That's
Why would somebody stop cooking with LPG gas and blah blah? They have to be sure. You have to have a proof that yes, it can reduce my cost by 50%.
Exactly.
Validated, not just by you, but customers who've used it.
Exactly.
You have to be able to do that. And so now we'll look at the final one, and then we close. Okay. Again, this is just a teaser of the scaling blueprint that Startup Body Shop offers, and there's a free diagnostic tool that is online now, www.startupbodyshop.com, and if you go there, you would see scaling blueprint and diagnostics. You complete the diagnostics for your business, and it gives you there instantly, gives you your own constraints in these 5 constraints, and you have to just be truthful, because garbage in, garbage out. If your sales is 1,000 leons and you're saying your sales is 200,000 leons, it gives you what you give it. There's no way, it knows. The system knows whether what you're saying is the truth, except there are inconsistencies in the data. That's what it tests. But now, let's go finally. What's your biggest headache at the moment? Having said all of this, as we wrap up today, what's your biggest headache at the moment? What's the biggest problem you wish you could solve at this point?
I wish I could just jump into the answer. But I just realized that over the past few years, I think I've been running after the wrong things that I believe was the headache. Money. But
you thought you need your money that you needed.
Yes, I need the fund to keep.
You need funding. You need
for
funding.
what that we have.
I saw your last pitch deck. You said it's $1 million that
that
you
was
needed
for alt prize. We are participating
prize.
for the alt prize. We thought what we need is $1 million to keep pushing the business moving forward. But some of these claims that we have made, I think if there must be anything that I must pursue in this business with all vigor, it must be that the claims we made that customer can reduce on their cooking cost by 50%, increase their cooking efficiency by 80%, saving them over 50% on their cooking time, needs to be validated, not by us. We should be somewhere else. Somebody is calling us that. Somebody have called them that our biodigester is saving them this cost. Not we running after the customer to do that for them. I think, in fact, one of the things I've just come to realize from all the conversation we have been having is that if we could be able to show a proof clearly with no struggle, then we have gotten the real best customer approach. The best approach to enter our channel, and there is nothing we can do more than that.
And again, like I said to you, in business, it's not about proving that what I believe is right. You're proving, it's like answer to song. It's a leading question. You already know the answer you want. And so you're asking questions that leads to the answer. You want to know quickly if this is correct, these assumptions are correct. If not, you either pivot or abandon the idea. And you have to be bold to do that. You have to be bold to do that. The graveyard, David Pakima was telling stories about how many things he's tried that didn't work. How many things he's tried, and lots. Ask. You only know about the success stories in the entrepreneurship journey, but we try a lot of things that don't work, and you have to be bold enough wherever you are. You have to be bold enough to you're not nursing your ego. It's not an ego trip. It's not an ego journey where, all right, I don't want people to think I was wrong. I don't want people to know that I was wrong in my assumptions. But that's not the life of an entrepreneur. There's humility that comes in knowing this will not work, and what I thought originally wasn't the case. And I'm doing the adjustments. I'm doing the tweaking. And again, I confess to you, I've just said it, and I repeat it again. If I had gotten a lot more exposure to the constraint theory and the 5 levers that it takes, I would have spent the 9 months. We would have spent the 9 months that we had working with you guys, on identifying the constraint and spend all our time on the constraint. No niceties. No niceties. Zero in down on the constraint. We'll do the pitch deck later. To how to pitch. You've pitched 150 times. But we could have spent a lot more time validating your market, validating your claims that you're making for the offer. That's what we could have done. Spent the 2 hours, these two things, answer these 2 questions. Who are we targeting? What are we selling? Why should somebody choose us over other people, over the competition, over the products that are in the market that are competing with us? So I wish you all the well and all the best, Andrew. Now, obviously, what this means that any pitch that you're not going to be doing, whatever you're trying to raise, it's so that you could validate this.
Exactly.
It's not giving money so that I can scale. And I'll say this to you again on air. You already have 3 or 4 deployments that you've done. They are the laboratory for you. You have to go back, focus your attention on those 3 or 4 deployments that you have done. Make sure they work. Make sure they would have the testimonial recorded themselves. Each visit you're making, go with a camera, go with a video, so that month on month, people can come and say, this is what it was last month. This is what it is this week. This is what it was 2 weeks ago. But it's focusing your attention. You know, with entrepreneurs, is the next shiny thing. We want to, the next shiny thing. That's where we want to go. But the deployments that you have done, go back to those deployments. Make sure they work. Build a team to make sure it works. If you're raising funds, raise money to validate that, to make sure it works. Because you're testing the market, you're testing your claims, you're actually testing your delivery, your operations, because some of this is people. You don't have enough systems to know when the system goes down. The customer doesn't even tell you. Some of the complaints you're saying, they don't even tell you they've stopped using it for the last 1 month. And nobody tells you because your operations, there's a problem with your operations, your operation system. So therefore, I would rather take those 4, make them laboratory. If you're getting money, is to perfect, validate, prove. Andrew,
we are right on point.
Life not funny. Life not funny.
We are right on point. And there's nothing more to add to that. I was just thinking if we are going to jump into marketing, I said, what is there to market?
What is there to market?
When
you have not been validated, so because it's this information that you validated. That's what you put in your marketing material.
Yeah, sure.
You can now put it in your marketing material, your flyer, your brochure, your website. You have to validate these claims first. You validate your offer, that what you're saying offer works. Then you put it into the market, your marketing material. And then you now go on your website, you go social media. And, maybe you should stop posting on LinkedIn. or post something different, because it's really about the validation. And you could actually post about what you're learning as you go on your journey to validate this. I thought this was correct. This is what I learned out of this process. And all of the mistakes that you've talked about and the changes, the iterations that you've done, these are stuff you could be posting. So it's not really to market a product as it is. You should be talking about different things. You'll be posting, but you're building in public. You're sharing what you're learning from what's going on every day. That's what I think you have to do, Andrew.
Exactly.
That's what I think you have to do. And you, Andrew, and all the Andrews that are watching us, this is for you also. This is for all of us. If you build in public, these are the rules that you have to follow. And of course, Startup Body Shop, www.startupbodyshop.com, Scaling Blueprint. If you go there, there's a diagnostic tool that you can fill out for your own business. It looks at these 5 levers and be frank, be honest with the data you're putting in, because garbage in, garbage out. But it would give you the summary. It would give you your own constraints, where your constraint is hidden in your business. And then, that's other stuff you could do, either attend a workshop or a VIP consultation, and a 90-day, you could go through a 90-day journey to build this. So Andrew, what's your final word for, this process and your colleague entrepreneurs? What have you got to say to them?
The honest point here is, if you have so much love for your technology, I sincerely congratulate you to join us in the struggle that we have been embarking on in the past few years. But if you are ready to build a real business for scaled and for the future, then absolutely this work needs to be done. Of course, I've gone through the journey, I've learned from my past experience, and I'm still learning, and I hope to learn more. But the honest point here is, you really need to take the bull from the horn, try to solve the problem, try to identify the real customers and get your offers to the ground and validate the real numbers. Don't tell me that I've tested it right at my home and it's working for me currently. Absolutely, you cannot be testing it for yourself. I think that was a mistake I did. I was testing the biodigester initially when I started right from my home, and I was telling people that it's working. And that's something that we need to avoid and ensure we test our solution with the right customer. I believe with this work in mind, you could be able to have a numbers to market, you're able to find a better way to sales and convert your customers into something that value, and at the end of the day, you can have operations that will able to meet all of this demand. Beyond that, I think I thank you, Mr. Joe, for having me.
Andrew, so that's all we have time for you for today. On behalf of our sponsors, AfriCell, AfriMoney, REC Bank, Hokel Commercial Bank, and Sheratel and Startup Body Shop, it's been a very pleasant time with you, sharing our thoughts, sharing our hearts. You have a question, post it in the comments. Push back, you agree, you disagree on any of the stuff we've said, share with us your comments below. We'll make sure we come back to you and answer all of the questions you are raising there. Till we meet again, we close with what we always close with, and which is, this is the only belief that matters. If you think you can, you can. Because your behavior would follow your beliefs. If you think you can't, you won't. Because your behaviors will follow your beliefs. Until we meet again, we believe this is a life you can shape, this is a life you can design. So go on and continue to design the life that you want to experience for yourself. God bless.
This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.